Welcome to this course Electricity and Magnetism. In the previous class, we have discussed about the electric field due to a dipole and potential due to a dipole. And of course, we have defined what is a dipole. A dipole which consists of two equal and opposite charges separated by a very small distance. And if this separation tends to 0 and the product of charge and the separation tends to a finite value, we call it as a point dipole or ideal dipole, and it is characterized by its dipole moment p. So, an ideal electric dipole has no extent in space, total charge is 0 and it is completely characterized by its dipole moment p, which is equal to product of the charge and the separation between the two charges. Under the condition limit separation tends to 0. So, we have seen that dipole as a single entity has an electric field around it, though its net charge is 0, and at a long distance from the dipole, of course, we do not get a field, it is almost 0, but in the vicinity of the dipole we get a net dipole net electric field as well as electric potential. And in the previous classes we have explained that any electrical influence due to charge configuration is characterized by two fields. One is scalar field electric potential and another is vector field, that is electric field, and there exists a relationship between field and potential, that is electric field is the negative gradient of potential. As potential is a scalar quantity, it is often easy to find out the potential due to a charge configuration, then taking its negative gradient we obtain electric field. So, let us verify the field and potential we obtained for a dipole whether satisfy this condition. I mean, if we know the potential of a dipole, can we derive the field due to the dipole by taking its negative gradient? Let us first discuss. So, if this is our coordinate system and a dipole consists of a charge minus q and a charge plus q separated by a vector L, and the point of observation has a position vector r, then this point is at r minus L from charge plus q, and our potential we obtained due to this dipole, say this is origin O and the point where we want to find the potential and field is point A, and at A our potential we have derived in the last class as 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught r dot p by r q, okay, and field is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught 3 r dot p of r by r to the power 5 minus p by r q. Okay. So, this is the potential and field due to dipole. Now, let us take the gradient of B. Okay. Gradient of B. It is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught is a constant and it is equal to gradient of r dot p by r q. Okay. So, here we can say that this one is this term in the bracket is a product of two scalar quantities. One is dot product of r dot p, that is one scalar, and 1 by r q, which is the 1 by cube of the magnitude of the position vector. Then we will use here a rule of vector algebra, that is gradient of a product of two scalar quantities, gradient of u into v is equal to grad of u into v plus grad of v into u, grad of v into u. This is a rule of vector algebra, it is a product rule. Okay. So, if you use this rule here, then it will be equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into the one scalar, that is 1 by r q, into gradient of r dot p plus r dot p into gradient of 1 by r q. Okay. This is the rule we use here. R dot p is scalar, 1 by r q is scalar, and gradient 1 by r q into gradient of r dot p plus r dot p into gradient of 1 by r q. Let us say this one is equation 1, this one is equation 1. Now, let us find the first term. First, let us find what is divergence of gradient of r dot p, gradient of r dot p. It is equal to gradient of r is I cap x plus j cap y plus k cap z, dot p is the dipole moment, which also have three components, which also has three components, that is I cap p x plus j cap p y plus k cap p z. Obviously, it is equal to now gradient of dot product, that is x into p x plus y into p y plus z into p z. Okay. Now, it is equal to I cap del by del x of x p x plus y p y plus z p z plus j cap into del by del y of x p x plus y p y plus z p z plus similarly k cap del by del z of your x p x plus y p y plus z p z. Okay. Now, it is equal to, this one is p x is of course constant, and derivative of these two terms with respect to x is 0, they do not depend upon x, and p x will be taken outside, del x by del x is 1. So, it is I cap p x, okay, plus similarly this one is now j cap, this p y will taken outside and del y by del y is 1. So, this is j cap p y, j cap p y plus that last term is k cap del by del z of z p z, because these terms derivative will be 0 with respect to z, they do not depend upon z, and p z will be taken outside and del by del z of z is 1. Okay. So, it is k cap p z, which is nothing but the vector p. So, what we got, the gradient of r dot p is equal to p. Okay. So, the first term on the right hand side now becomes gradient of r dot p is equal to our p vector only. Okay. This is the equation 2. Our gradient of 1 by r cube, gradient of 1 by r cube. R is our position vector, its magnitude is x square plus y square plus z square to the power half. So, 1 by r cube means 1 by x square plus y square plus z square to the power half to the power 3. So, it is equal to the power 3 by 2, that is equal to x square plus y square plus z square to the power minus 3 by 2. So, this is our 1 by r cube, it is x square plus y square plus z square to the power minus 3 by 2. Okay. Now, we have to put this value here. So, it now becomes equal to gradient of x square plus y square plus z square to the power minus 3 by 2, and this is equal to what is gradient? It is I cap del by del x of x square plus y square plus z square to the power minus 3 by 2 plus j cap del by del y of x square plus y square plus z square to the power minus 3 by 2 plus k cap del by del z of x square plus y square plus z square to the power minus 3 by 2. Okay. This is our gradient of 1 by r cube. So, we will use simple derivative of this one with respect to x. Obviously, it is I cap into minus 3 by 2 into x square plus y square plus z square to the power minus 3 by 2 minus 1, that becomes minus 5 by 2. Again, the derivative of this term with respect to x is 2x. Okay. So, this into 2x. Similarly, this term becomes j cap into 2y into x square plus y square plus z square to the power minus 5 by 2, and this term similarly becomes k cap into 2z into, of course, here minus 3 by 2 will be here every time, minus 3 by 2, here it is also minus 3 by 2 every time. Let me write it in a better way. This is j cap into minus 3 by 2 into x square plus y square plus z square to the power minus 5 by 2 into derivative of this one with respect to y is 2y, and this one is k cap into minus 3 by 2 into x square plus y square plus z square to the power minus 5 by 2 into derivative of this one with respect to z is 2z. So, here 2 cancels out, here 2 also cancels out, here 2 also cancels out, and we get I cap minus 3x, this one comes to the denominator and it becomes x square plus y square plus z square to the power 5 by 2. Similarly, this one becomes plus j cap into minus 3y divided by x square plus y square plus z square to the power minus plus 5 by 2. When I take it to denominator, it becomes plus, okay, and plus k cap into minus 3z divided by x square plus y square plus z square to the power 5 by 2. Okay. And this becomes now minus 3 taken outside as common by now this one x square plus y square plus z square to the power 5 by 2, this can also be taken common. Okay. So, minus 3 by x square plus y square plus z square to the power 5 by 2 is taken common, and we are left with now this into I cap x plus j cap y plus k cap z. Okay. This is our gradient of 1 by r cube. So, it becomes now minus 3 into this one is our position vector r, I cap x plus j cap y plus k cap z, it is the position vector r. So, minus 3 into r divided by this one is x square plus y square plus z square to the power half is r, magnitude of r, and to the power 5 by 2 means it is r to the power 5. Okay. So, gradient of 1 by r cube is 3 r by r to the power 5. Okay. This is now equation 3. Now, we will put equation 2 and equation 3 in equation 1. Okay. So, our grad V now becomes, our grad V becomes 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. I should have put here as a bracket, because 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught is multiplied to the two terms. Okay. 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into this gradient of r dot v from equation 2 becomes p. So, it becomes p vector by r cube, and this one is minus, r dot p into gradient of 1 by r cube is minus 3 r by r to the power 5. That is why I put it here minus 3 r divided by r to the power 5. So, that is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into p by r cube minus 3 r dot p into r divided by r to the power 5. This is gradient of v, and if I take minus grad of v, then this becomes plus, this becomes minus, and we get 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into 3 r dot p into vector r divided by r to the power 5 minus p by r cube. Okay. And we can very well compare this one with our expression of electric field, and you can see that it is the same as we have obtained directly as the field due to dipole. So, now we have established that field is the negative gradient of potential. So, whether it is due to a point charge or a charge distribution or due to a dipole. So, this is a very important conclusion. Now, the field we obtained here or potential we obtained here, it is at any point around the dipole, which is at a position vector r from the origin. Now, let us discuss about some special cases. If we want to find the field along the axis of the dipole, So, this is the axis of the dipole, and along the axis our vector r and vector l are in the same direction, and the dipole moment direction is along the vector l, because dipole moment p is defined as q into l. So, the direction of l is direction of p. So, the important point is along the axis our vector r and vector p are in same direction, and the angle between them is 0 degree. If we want to find the field on equatorial line of the dipole, that is normal to the dipole, then obviously angle between r and p will be 90 degree. So, let us find out in these two special cases what is the value of field and potential along the axis of the dipole and normal to the dipole or at the equatorial line. At an axial point, here r and p are in same direction, So, theta is 0 degree, So, potential now becomes 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught r dot p by r cube, which now becomes 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught r dot p is r p cos theta, and theta is here 0 degree, cos 0 divided by r cube. Cos 0 is 1. So, it is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught r into p by r cube, and it is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into p by r square. R here q cancels out, and we get 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught p by r square. So, potential at an axial point is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught p by r square. What is the field? Now, field is now 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, this expression. Here in case of r dot p, we will put r p cos 0. Okay. So, it will be equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught 3 into r p cos 0 into vector r divided by r to the power 5 minus p by r q. Cos 0 is 1 and it becomes 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught 3 into r p, cos 0 is 1, 3 into r p into vector r divided by r to the power 5 minus vector p by r q. Here this r now cancels with r to the power 5 and it becomes r to the power 4 and it becomes 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught sorry 3 into p into vector r divided by r to the power 4 minus p by r to the power 3. This p and r here along the axis have the same direction. So, I can put the arrow over p and take the magnitude of r here, because they are in same direction. So, I can just rewrite it as 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into 3 r into p divided by r to the power 4 minus p by r q, and here it cancels out, it becomes r to the power 3 and it is now equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into 3 p by r q minus p by r q is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into 3 p by r q minus p by r q becomes 2 p by r q. So, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught 2 p by r q. So, this is the field at an axial point of the dipole, that is at any point on its axis. This is field and this is the expression for potential at any point on the axis. Okay. So, you can see that potential always due to dipole is inversely proportional to square of the distance, while field due to dipole is inversely proportional to cube of the distance. In case of our point charge, this potential was inversely proportional to r, while field is inversely proportional to r square. You can see the difference here. It is potential is proportional to r to the power minus 1, but in case of dipole V is proportional to r to the power minus 2. In case of point charge, field is proportional to r to the power minus 2, while for a dipole it is proportional to r to the power minus 3. So, this is field and potential at axial point. Let us find out field and potential of the dipole at equatorial point, I mean at a point normal to its axis. Okay. At a point normal to the axis. Normal to the axis. Okay. In this case, if our point A lies on the normal to the axis, that is an equatorial point, the angle between P and R becomes 90 degree. Okay. So, here theta becomes 90 degree and our potential V is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught r p cos 90 by r q. Cos 90 is 0. So, potential is 0. So, potential at an equatorial point of a dipole is always 0. This is very important. And then field, again we will put it r p cos 90 here and we get E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught 3 into r p cos 90 into vector r divided by r to the power 5 minus p to the power p minus p divided by r cube, and this cos 90 is 0. So, it becomes only 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into p by r cube. Okay. So, field at equatorial point has a direction opposite to the dipole moment, and its magnitude is half that of the axial point, because just now we have derived that an axial point field is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught 2 p by r cube, while here we see that it is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught p by r cube. Therefore, the field at broadside end position, or we call it equatorial point, is always half that of its value at axial point. Okay. So, so far we have discussed about field and potential of a dipole. Now, let us see what is the interaction of dipole with an external electric field. Dipole has its own field and potential, and when we place the dipole in an external electric field, what happens? As we know that a charge in electric field always experiences a force, and this is now dipole is a system of charges, system of two charges. So, both the charges will experience force, and the vector sum of the total force will the net force on the dipole. Okay. Then there are two possibilities. One is field may be uniform, field may be non-uniform. Let us first see what is the force experienced by a dipole in case of a uniform electric field. Okay. So, force on a dipole in an electric field. Case 1, field is uniform. When field is uniform, field is uniform, say capital E. So, this is a uniform electric field exists in a region, and now we place a dipole here that consists of charge minus q and plus q separated by vector L, and the field is E. So, the force on charge q is F plus q is equal to q into E. Positive charge experiences a force in the direction of the field, and that is equal to q into E. This is the definition from the definition of field, that force per unit charge is field. So, force on the charge is charge into field, and the force on charge minus q is F minus q is equal to minus q into E, because the negative charge always experiences a force in a direction opposite to the field. So, now you can see that the dipole as a system is experiencing two forces of same magnitude QE and QE, but in opposite direction. So, in a body or a system or a particle experiences two equal and opposite forces, the vector sum is 0. So, the resultant force on the dipole is F on plus q plus F on minus q is equal to now QE and minus QE is equal to 0. Okay. So, this is the resultant force on a dipole in the presence of or in a region of uniform electric field. But we know that when two equal and opposite forces act on a system along different lines of action, if they do not act along the same line, here you can mark that this force minus QE, this is minus QE, this minus QE, its line of action is along this line, while plus QE has line of action along this line. So, these are two equal and opposite forces acting along different lines, and they constitute a couple. When two equal and opposite forces acting along different lines, they constitute a couple. You have read it in your class 11 level, that when you open a tap, you apply two equal and opposite forces by your two fingers, and it gets a couple, that is why it twists or it rotates due to a torque. So, this is the case here also. So, these two equal and opposite forces, they constitute a couple and they produce a torque. This torque will tend to orient or rotate the dipole in the direction of field, or it will tend to orient the dipole in the direction of the electric field. And let us calculate what is the torque acting on this dipole. And what is the torque? It is one of the force multiplied by the perpendicular distance between the two forces. So, what is the perpendicular distance between the two forces? Let the angle between the dipole and the field is theta, and the perpendicular distance between the lines of action of the two forces from this triangle is your L sin theta. This one is, because this is L sin theta is equal to this by this, and this is equal to L sin theta. So, the dipole in uniform electric field, in uniform electric field experiences two equal and opposite forces, which constitute a couple, and the torque due to this couple is now tau is equal to product of any one of the force, that is QE, and the perpendicular distance between the two forces, that is L sin theta. So, this becomes, we can rearrange it as QL into E into sin theta. And what is QL? Product of charge and the distance between the charges is electric dipole moment. So, it is P into E into sin theta, and we know torque is a vector quantity, and this P sin theta has the magnitude of the cross product of P and E. P is dipole moment and E is electric field. So, in vector form we can write that torque on the dipole present in uniform electric field is tau is equal to P cross E, is tau is equal to P cross E. This is a very important formula we often use in static electricity when we will discuss about dielectrics, which consists of polar molecules. We will see that this phenomena will come into picture, where polar molecules, when subjected to uniform electric field, they will experience this torque, and this torque will tend to align all those polar molecules or dipoles in the direction of the field. That we will discuss more in that chapter. So, this is a very important relationship, that a dipole placed in uniform electric field experiences a torque. This torque tends to align the dipole in the direction of the field. Okay. Now, we will study the second one, that is what happens if the field is non-uniform. That means field at this point is different from field at this point. So, obviously, now the force experienced by the positive charge plus q will be different in magnitude from that by experienced by the charge minus q. So, they will not now cancel each other, and rather they will get a resultant force. And what is this resultant force? This is our coordinate system. This is x axis, say, this is y axis and this is z axis, and let a dipole is placed like this. So, that the coordinates of this point are x, y, z, and the dipole length L is infinitely small. Okay. So, that this point has the coordinates x plus dx, y plus dy, and z plus dz. Okay. Let the position vector of this point is, say, r, and the position vector of this point is, say, r dash. So, that vector L is r dash vector minus r vector. And what is this? This is r dash vector is I cap x plus dx plus j cap y plus dy plus k cap z plus dz minus vector r is I cap x plus j cap y plus k cap z. So, this is equal to now becomes only I cap into dx plus j cap into dy plus k cap into dz, and the dipole moment P is equal to q into L now becomes q into I cap dx plus j cap dy plus k cap dz. Okay. Now, the field at plus q, at the location of the charge plus q, sorry, at the location of the charge, say, minus q. Minus q is located here, minus q is located at position vector r, and plus q is located at vector r dash. Okay. So, electric field has x y component, I mean I cap x, I cap E x plus j cap E y plus k cap E z at the location of the charge minus q. And let at minus q, at plus q, the field is, say, E dash, E dash. Okay. And let us find what is the value of electric field, x component of electric field at charge plus q, that is, say, E x dash. So, it is equal to E x, it is equal to E x plus, E x is the x component of electric field at the location minus q, and here the field will be E x plus some additional factor, and from partial derivative this additional factor will be how much? It will be del E x by del x into dx. As field is not uniform, all the components of the field are functions of x, y and z. So, it will be del E x by del x into dx plus del E x by del y into dy plus del E x by del z into dz, if we consider only the x component of electric field. Okay. And let us say this is its magnitude. Okay. And of course, the direction will be along x axis, that is the unit vector I cap. Okay. Now, the x component of electric field at charge minus q is only E x. So, the force on the charge minus q at the x component of the force acting on the charge minus q will be minus q E x, while the x component of the charge x component of the force acting on charge plus q will be q into E x dash, okay, because E x is the x component of field at minus q. So, minus q will experience a force minus q into E x, and E x dash is the x component of field at plus q. So, plus q will experience a force plus q into E x dash. So, what will be the resultant force? Obviously, this force minus this force, because they are in opposite direction. If it is in plus I cap direction, it will be in minus I cap direction. So, only the x component of force acting on the entire dipole will now become what? It will be equal to q into E x dash, q into E x dash minus q into E x. So, if we multiply q into this and we subtract again q into E x, then we will be left with q into this factor. Okay. So, this will be equal to now q into del E x by del x into dx plus del E x by del y into dy plus del E z del E x by del z into dz, okay, because q E x minus q E x cancels. Okay. So, this is the x component of the total force acting on the dipole. Okay. Now, this we can write this one, this term in the bracket, we can write it as q into I cap dx plus j cap dy plus k cap dz dot I cap del E x by del x plus j cap del E x by del y plus k cap del E x by del z. Okay. You can very well check it, that I cap dot I cap is 1, dx into del E x by del x into dx, then j cap dot j cap 1, del x by del y into dy, the second term, and the third term is del E x by del z into dz. Okay. Now, this one is already we have defined the dipole moment P. Dipole moment P of the dipole here is q into the length, that is the separation between the charges, and this separation between the charges is here I cap dx plus j cap dy plus k cap dz. So, this is nothing but our dipole moment P dot. What is this? We have already discussed about this operator I cap del by del x plus j cap del by del y plus k cap del by del z as del operator or the gradient operator. So, this is the del operator operating over E x, P dot del operating over E x. So, this is the x component magnitude of the x component of the force acting on the dipole. So, let us, these are case 2, non-uniform field. Non-uniform field. So, in non-uniform field, the total force acting on the dipole has a x component f x is equal to p dot del operating on E x. Similarly, we can derive that the y component of the total force F y will become p dot del operating over E y, and similarly the component z component of the total force acting on the dipole F z will become p dot del operating over E z. Okay. So, the total force acting on the dipole in non-uniform electric field now becomes F vector is equal to I cap f x plus j cap Fy plus k cap Fz. This is equal to now I cap into P dot del of operating on Ex plus j cap into P dot del operating over Ui plus k cap into P dot del operating on Ez. So, this is equal to now P dot del taking common, P dot del taking common, where this is operating over, this P dot del is operating over I cap Ex plus j cap Ey plus k cap Ez. Okay. Therefore, the total force acting on the dipole in a non-uniform electric field now becomes F is equal to P dot del operating over this vector. And what is this? This is our vector E, field vector. So, P dot del operating over electric field. This is the force on a dipole when it is placed in a non-uniform electric field. And we are getting here a new kind of operator here, P dot delta, which is operating over field. This P dot del is like a dot product, it becomes a scalar operator. And what is its value? This P dot del means I cap P x plus j cap P y plus k cap P z. This dot our del operator is I cap del by del x plus j cap del by del y plus k cap del by del z. Okay. And this is equal to I cap dot I cap 1, it is P x del by del x plus the second term is P y del by del y plus the third term is P z del by del z. Okay. So, this is a new operator that operates over electric field to give you the resultant force acting on the dipole. So, we conclude that in case of uniform electric field, a dipole experiences net 0 force, but it experiences a net torque which tends to rotate the dipole in the direction of field. When the dipole is placed in a non-uniform electric field, what happens? In addition to the torque experienced by the dipole, it also experiences a resultant force which is given by P dot del operating over E. So, till now we have completed the field potential of dipole and what happens to the dipole when it is placed in a uniform or a non-uniform electric field. Now, we will discuss about the electrostatic energy. Already while deriving electric potential, we had discussed what is electric potential energy. It is the potential energy of a charge is the work done in bringing the charge from infinity to a point against the electrostatic force, and while we bring it, it must be brought without any acceleration. And then this net work done in bringing the charge from infinite to a point against the electric force is stored in the charge as its electrostatic potential energy. Obviously, if the source charge is positive, we have to do work against the electric force. If the source charge is negative, the electrostatic force will do work in bringing the charge from infinite to that point. Hence, the electrostatic potential energy due to a positive source charge at a point is positive, and electrostatic potential energy due to a negative source charge at a point is negative, and it is of course a scalar quantity, and infinity is taken as by convention as a reference point, where we assume the potential energy to be 0. And if we consider a system of charges, then again we will use the superposition principle. Simply we will take the algebraic addition, because potential energy is a scalar quantity, and we will take the algebraic addition of the potential energy due to individual source charges and find the total potential energy at a point due to the system of charges. So, we will now discuss about what is the total potential energy of n number of system of charges placed in a region, and then of course, the potential energy due to a continuous charge distribution. Instead of discrete charge distribution, we will calculate the potential energy due to a continuous charge distribution. And then our dipole is also a system of 2 point charges. So, it will have a potential energy when it is placed in an uniform electric field. So, these things we will discuss in the next class. Thank you. Thank you everybody.